Welcome to the Boyertown Salvation Army Vacation Bible School 2020, the Dream Team.
This is day 2, and I'm Captain Joseph.
I'm Captain Rebecca.
And we have another great story, a great message for you today with activities, so stay tuned and enjoy.
Hey guys, the stars have come out and the dreams are going to come down. I hope you remember yesterday we talked about Jacob and how the first puzzle piece says it was the start of the nation. We're going to get another puzzle piece today. Actually, I think, I have to put my thinking cap on, I think we're going to get 2 puzzle pieces. I can take my mask off now because I'm all by myself. The kids are out here. Bella, I was gonna say yell. Yell your name.
Bella.
Yell your name.
Brianna.
Cora. And Miss Misty's here, and the captains are heading out. So that's the whole team except for Miss Brenda. She'll be in shortly. Actually, they're not heading out. They're gonna stay with us. That's really cool. So yesterday was Jacob. We learned that he is the start of a nation. God said you're going to have a huge family. I'm going to bless you. The place where you slept, I'm going to bring you back. You're going to be, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to take care of you. And I won't leave you until everything I just told you comes true. Now, if I look at that honestly, I have to tell you that Jacob did die when he got older, but God still stayed with the people of Israel. He didn't leave them, and he's still with them. I want you to know that. His words will come true, but we're still waiting for some of them. So that's Jacob. Today, we're going to talk about another dreamer. His name is Joseph. Joseph was a dreamer, but he also, with God's help, was able to tell people what their dreams meant. So let's peek in the dream box, God's dream box, and see all about Joseph. What do you think? We start just with his dreams, okay? I have to tell you that Joseph was Jacob's son. So his grandfather was Abraham, his father was Isaac, and now we have Jacob. And now Jacob has a son, and his name is Joseph. Jacob actually did get to his mommy's family. And I told you it was a crazy family yesterday, didn't I? When he got there, they tricked him. He fell in love with one girl, but she was the second sister. The first sister was older, and they tricked him. He thought he was marrying the second sister, but he really married the first sister. And then he worked so that he could marry the second sister. I'm telling you, the family is just really a little crazy, aren't they? Well, he married the 2 sisters, and he had 12 sons. And one of the sons was Joseph. Like with the story yesterday, Joseph was loved more than the other brothers. There's another brother that will come along in the 12, and he's loved too, but his daddy loved him a lot. So much that he made him a beautiful coat. His coat had lots of colors, and it was embroidered with pretty threads, and I think probably had some pretty, like what we would call shiny things on there. So it was absolutely beautiful. And Joseph wore it all the time. He was proud of it. The problem was, every time his brothers saw it, it made him really angry. Why did Joseph get the fancy coat? Why does Dad love Joseph more than he loves us? Why? And every day it was a reminder, and every day they got more jealous and more angry. The brothers took care of their daddy's sheep and herd, and they would go from place to place to find grass for the animals to eat. And they had been gone for a while. So Daddy said to Joseph, son, go out and look for your brothers. Make sure they're okay, and then come back and tell me how they're doing. And so Joseph set out, and he had to travel. He had to go from place to place, and he even asked somebody along the way, have you seen my brothers? And finally, he found his brothers. But when they saw him coming from way down there, the brothers, they got so mad. Oh, they said, look, here comes that dreamer. I'm going to stop you right there, okay? They were jealous of the coat. But Joseph also, I told you, was a dreamer. He had, that the Bible records, he had 2 dreams as a young man. His first dream, one of the dreams was this. It says, I'm going to stand up and come closer to you. In his dream, God said, you are going to stand nice and tall, but the sun and the moon and the stars are going to bow down to you. Whoa, that's a dream, isn't it? His second dream was, you know what a sheaf of wheat is? When the farmers are in the field and they gather the wheat together and tie it, that's called a sheaf. And I only have 2 here, but in his dream, God said, you are a sheaf of wheat and you're going to be tall. Your brothers are going to bow down to you. How do you think that made the brothers feel? Yell at me. Yes, they were really, really angry. And actually, even Daddy said, what do you mean that your mother and I and all your brothers are going to bow down to you? That was kind of arrogant, and his daddy wanted him to know, not really good, not good. We don't do that. And I don't think he believed that God really gave him the dream, or else he wouldn't have scolded him, right? But he did scold him. And looking at it, I'm wondering if Joseph just shared the dream when he shouldn't have. Sometimes God gives us dreams and they're meant just for us. And we have to wait for those dreams to come true. They do come true, but again, sometimes they're just for us. And I think that God meant for Joseph to understand that someday he was going to be a strong and powerful man. And 2 times, remember this, 2 times his family is going to come and bow down to him. Now we'll go back. He went to find his brothers, and when his brothers saw him, they said, oh, here comes that dreamer. We need to get rid of him. And so they got together and they talked, and they decided they would grab him and throw him in a dry well. And then later they would pull him out and they would kill him. They threw him in there and went about their business during the day, and then they had their dinner. And while they were eating, they saw a caravan. A caravan is, in the old days, would have been camels or maybe donkeys, and they carry all kinds of things, and they go to different cities, and they either trade what they've brought with them or they sell what they've brought with them. So the caravan was traveling into Egypt. And the brothers decided, smart brothers that they are, jealous brothers that they are, decided, let's earn some money. Let's not kill Joseph. Let's earn some money and sell him to the traders. And that's what they did. They pulled him up out of the well, and they sold him to the traders who were going into Egypt. But now they had a problem, because they had to tell their daddy something, right? And so what they did was they ripped up his coat, and they got an animal and they killed the animal, and then they dipped the coat in the blood, the ripped up coat. And when they went home, they took it to their daddy and they said, is this your son's coat? Do you recognize this? Oh my goodness. daddy was just, if I say grief-stricken, do you know what I mean?
No.
Okay. He loved his son, and now all of a sudden he believed his son was dead. His heart, grief-stricken, his heart was broken. And later, as you read the Bible, it says he never got over that. He did eventually, but the brothers really hurt their daddy by doing what they did. And so I believe that as they saw Joseph in the beautiful coat every day, now they had to see their daddy heartbroken every day because he believed his son had died. Well, Joseph got sold to the traders, and the traders took him into town, and of course they wanted money. They bought him, so they sold him in Egypt to a man who worked in the government. His name was Potiphar. One thing I'll tell you, and we'll keep repeating it through the story, Joseph was a good guy. He loved God. He worked hard. He may have told the dreams too early, but he really loved God, and he worked hard, and he was a good guy, and people could trust him. When he worked in Potiphar's house, Potiphar recognized, this is a good guy. I can trust him. And so he kept giving him more important jobs to do in the household until he got to the point where it was Potiphar's house, but Joseph was right underneath him, and he ran the whole house. He took care of the servants. He took care of everything in the house, and he did a good job, and Potiphar was pleased with him. But one day, Potiphar's wife told a lie about him, and it made Potiphar very angry. He had Joseph thrown into prison. Poor Joseph. His brothers hate him. They decide to kill him. Then they sell him. Now he's a slave. His slave owner tells a lie about him. Now he's in prison. Can any more go wrong? Oh my goodness. Somebody said, yes, hang on, tell me if I get it. That was Bella. He gets in jail, and he's a prisoner, and he's just a prisoner. But once again, I want you to know he's a good guy. Whatever the jailer said to do, he did. He did it with all of his might. He worked hard, and he still loved God. And so God took care of him. And just like in Potiphar's house, where this was Potiphar, and he was right here, he was second to Potiphar, the jailer began to trust him with more and more jobs until finally it was the jailer and it was Joseph. And the jailer would actually trust, he wouldn't bother even, I think, to come to work some days because he knew Joseph was going to take care of everything in the prison. Joseph was a really hardworking, good, God-loving guy, and God took care of him, even all this stuff that happened to him. Well, one day when he was in jail, he met the cupbearer and he met the baker. They had made Pharaoh, that's the king of Egypt, they had made him so angry that he threw them in jail. And they both had dreams. Now remember, Joseph is a dreamer, and he also helps people understand what the dreams are. So they were talking about their dreams. They had no idea what they meant. And because Joseph was in charge of everything, he heard about their dreams. And he sat down with them, and he prayed, and he asked God to help him. And he was able to tell the cupbearer and the baker what their dreams meant. Sad dream for the baker. Pharaoh was going to have the baker killed. The cupbearer was going to go back to taking his place in the palace with Pharaoh. The cupbearer, oh, you don't want this job. The cupbearer, they would pour wine in the cup, and before Pharaoh drank it, he would have to drink it. So that if somebody was trying to kill the king, trying to kill Pharaoh, guess who died? The cupbearer. So he was the first one to always taste the wine that went to Pharaoh. Important job, but well, not a job I want. I guess a lot of people wanted to get Pharaoh, kill Pharaoh. So what Joseph said about the dreams came true. The baker was hanged. The baker and the cupbearer were released from prison. The baker was hanged. The cupbearer went back to work for Pharaoh. Well, Pharaoh had a dream. And he called all of his wise men, and they had magicians at that point. He called them all together and he said, I've had a dream. He said, let's go back in our dream box. He told them what the dreams were. Dream. Told them what the dreams were, and then he said, you tell me what the dreams mean. He said, I dreamed that there were 7 big fat cows that walked up out of the river and started to eat the grass. But behind them came 7 of the ugliest, skinniest, scrawny cows. Why, their markings just hung off of them. You could see all their bones, and they were just ugly. But they came up behind the fat cows and they ate the fat cows. Now you would think if they ate 7 fat cows, the 7 skinny cows would get fat, right? They stayed skinny. What could that mean? He had a second dream, and in his second dream, he dreamed that, I'm losing my corn. He dreamed that, let me come closer again. He dreamed that there was a stalk of corn that had 7 big, fat, beautiful ears of corn on it. But right after them grew 7 of the ugliest, scrawniest, nobody would want to eat them, ears of corn. Like the cows, the ears of corn that were ugly, not many kernels, nobody would want to eat them, ate up all the luscious, wonderful, big, fat ears of corn. The thing is, like the cows, this is what it stayed like. The 7 ears stayed ugly, scrawny, nobody would want to eat them. Ate up all that good corn, and this is what's left. They didn't change. Well, Pharaoh couldn't figure this out. So he called, like I said, he called all his wise men together. He called the magicians together, and he said, this is my dream. Can you tell me what it is? These are my dreams. Can you tell me what it is? And they all scratched their heads. Nope, they couldn't figure it out. Suddenly, the cupbearer said, Pharaoh, I'm so wrong. I have to tell you that there was a man in prison who told the baker and myself exactly what our dreams meant. And he was right. And so Pharaoh calls him in and he says, tell me the dream. Joseph said, I can't tell you the dream, but God will tell you the dream. The dream is, there will be 7 really good years where you will plant crops and they will come in. Oh, they'll come in like you've never seen crops before. You won't have places to store the crops. But then, after those 7 good years of crops, you're going to have 7 terrible years. Nothing is going to grow, and the people are going to starve. And Pharaoh said, well, what should I do? And everybody agreed that they should put somebody in charge during the 7 good years so that they could build storage places, and they could gather in all the food, and they could store the food so that in the 7 years when everybody was starving, they could go to the storage units and pull out the food and be able to eat and not die. Pharaoh scratched his head again, and he was like, well, who can we do? Who can we put in charge of that? Oh, I know. Joseph, you're going to be in charge of that. And so once again, here's Pharaoh and here's Joseph. He was second in command to Pharaoh. He built storehouses, and every year they gathered the crops in for 7 years, and they stored the crops. They had so many crops. It was wonderful. And then the first year of the next 7 years started, and there were no crops that came in. And year 2 and 3, and finally year 7. But Joseph was really smart. He started to sell the crops. And so people had to come to him and pay to get food for those 7 years. Some of them even gave up their land so that they would be able to eat. And so he made Pharaoh very wealthy. Where is Jacob? Where are the brothers? Well, they're in Israel, and guess what? They don't have food either. And so Jacob says, go into Egypt, take things with you, buy us food. So they go into Egypt. They actually went in twice. They went into Egypt twice, and each time they had to bow. Wait, let me get the dreams. Each time they had to bow to Joseph. They didn't recognize him because he had changed. He had grown, and he dressed like an Egyptian now. Still loved God, never stopped loving God. Still a good guy, a good God guy. But his brothers had to bow down to him. And they got food. They went home. There's so much more to the story, guys. I hope you've downloaded, I hope you have a Bible, or if you haven't, that you've downloaded your Bible and you can go into Genesis and you can read all about this. And Genesis is in the front of the Bible in the Old Testament. 2 times they had to go in and they had to bow down to Joseph. And finally, Joseph told him who he was. He actually cried. He had to leave the room and he had to cry because he knew that he was put in Egypt for a reason. He knew God put him there. And he actually told his brothers that. You meant to hurt me. You meant to get rid of me. But God put me here so I can save you. I can take care of you. I can make sure that you have food. And Pharaoh actually left Joseph bring his father and his brothers and the whole family into Egypt, live in a special place so that they would be taken care of. Joseph took care of them. What we call Joseph now, we're going to pull the puzzle piece out. And we've got a new puzzle piece to add. Joseph, let me come closer again. Joseph is going to save the nation of Israel. Remember, God said Jacob is going to start the nation, but if they die of starvation, they're not going to be there anymore, are they? So Joseph is going to save the nation by saving his brothers, by saving his daddy, by saving the whole family. He's going to save the nation of Israel because the nation's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So way back then, new puzzle piece, Joseph is going to save the nation. Joseph is going to fit somewhere in here. You're going to have to come back to find out where he fits. And in looking at this, can you figure out what we're building, what the puzzle's going to look like? I don't think so. You're going to have to come back and be surprised. Before we go, let's do your Bible verse, okay? I've put it up here. You have it in your bag. It's from Isaiah 55:10. Let's go through it a couple times. I'm going to add one more piece to it today, okay? So it says, as the rain and snow come down from heaven and do not go up until they water the earth, making it grow and bloom, giving seeds to the farmer and food for the hungry. Now God, this is God speaking. He says, as my words come out of my mouth and don't come back empty. Uh-oh, I just dropped it. Sometimes that happens. It will not come back empty. I'm sorry. Let's do it again. As the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not go back up until they water the earth, making it grow and bloom, giving seeds to the farmer and food for the hungry. So are my words that come out of my mouth. They do not come back empty. one more time. And incidentally, I have to tell you guys, when I study my Bible verses, I study them right before I go to sleep, because when there's a lot going on around me, I forget them, just like I did now. When I'm getting ready to go to bed and I'm quiet and there's no TV, remember I talked about that? There's no TV, nobody's talking, the dog is in bed, then I can study my Bible verse and I can remember it. Okay, as the rain and snow come down from heaven, but do not return until they water the earth, making it grow and bloom, giving seeds to the farmer, food for the hungry. God says, so are my words that go out of my mouth. They will not come back to me empty. The rain makes things bloom and grow. God's words do what he tells them to do. Okay, they don't come back to him empty. A farmer doesn't want to plant in his field and have nothing to show for it, does it? Does he? He wants food to grow, right? Same with God. He says, when I say something, it's going to happen. It's not going to come back to me like an empty field. Okay? All right. I forgot to look for you today, so let me look for you. Okay? Let me put my spiritual imagination glasses on. I'm going to say goodnight to you now. Good night, littles.
Good night.
Good night, middles.
Good night.
Good night, olders.
Good night.
I wish for you the sweetest, most precious, most lovely dreams from God. Can I do one more thing for you? I wanted to share, and it's going to be quick, I wanted to share one dream with you from me. This is my dream journal from 2011. And in my dream journal, I had a dream one night. This happened in April the 6th in 2011. In my dream, I was sitting on the deck outside, and a hummingbird, you know what a hummingbird is? Yeah, hummingbird.
Yeah.
Hummingbird came right to me and sat on my leg. It was beautiful. Then, just as quickly as it landed, it flew away. I was sad. I wanted to show my husband the hummingbird that was sitting on my leg, but it flew away. Suddenly, there were hummingbirds all around me, all around the deck. It was awesome. That's a sweet Jesus dream. I can guess at what it means. Did it mean there were angels around me that I don't see in real life?
Yeah.
Could have been, yeah. Do you think it could have been goodness that was all around me that I wasn't seeing yet?
Yeah.
Could have been. Could have been a lot of things, but it was a sweet, sweet Jesus dream.
It could have been all of them.
Could have been all of those. So now I'm going to say again, I wish you the sweetest, sweetest Jesus dreams tonight. Good night.
Night.